March 29th, 2020, I had a dream that I was at a Romanian convention, a typical Romanian convention that we Pentecostals have. Um, and There were some bleacher stands, and I was sitting in those bleacher stands with Joseph, somewhere towards the middle. What was really interesting was that it was kind of like a large gymnasium complex, but the the main scene was right at the aisle, the hallway that was right in front of me. So it was as if the entire um, um, convention scene was right in front of my face. Uh, and I was right. It was very pinpoint, right towards the middle of that aisle. Very interesting. It was as if God was telling me, for a time, I, the Lord, will give you to watch their scene, their works, before your face. So, and then came a song, and there was a huge choir that actually we had to get replaced. So my bleachers were getting replaced with this large choir that was taking the scene. Now, that became an excuse for me to leave and try to find me a spot, but in fact, I ended up in the car with Manu, and Manu was at the wheel, and we were going to Bethany, Romanian, where there were some other functions going on or getting prepared. Um, and at Bethany, Romanian, there were some buildings already being built. There was one that was half built, and then there was the other that had already gotten built. The other one looked a little bit more frail than this built one, and I came to the grounds where the two buildings were in the back, and there were some Romanians that were thinking to come from Chicago. They're thinking to move to here. We shook hands with them. Um, but my journey continued into the buildings. In the buildings, I was surprised to find that there was a very small kitchen. Very small. And um, the kitchen was probably a 8 by 15 room. That was the entire kitchen structure. And remembering my projection of the populace in the Romanian congregation, Bethany Romanian, what my projection was that over 600 people to over 2,000 people over the next 10 years will be here with us in San Antonio at that Romanian church. So, now in the dream, I was taken through some rooms. There was a nice, large room that was for like, I suppose it was for wedding guests or multi-purpose. Um, but the idea was that it looked very beautiful, rustic, country style, kind of like a hill country style. Very beautiful. The next structure was a structure that involved it was game rooms for the kids, and this was a very strange aspect of this compound. Later on, I realized that there's more than two buildings on that compound. Suddenly, there came to existence an additional three buildings. Okay, very very large compound. But these other buildings, and I promise you, it was surprising. I found a ton of game rooms everywhere, arcades, um, just incredible, all kinds of different games. They were a weird, rustic-looking style, something like only very expensive arcade industries could buy. I mean, it was very, very. Somebody had funded this game operation for the kids, and I continued through the rows. I was continuing to find new game venues of different kinds. Some games that I have never seen in my life. It wasn't just a simple pinball and Pac-Man, and no, they had all kinds of different things. It was weird. And I guess I left the compound surprised, knowing that um, I guess the funders of our church were really interested in entertaining the kids and not bringing them to a full educated knowledge of God. I did not find the school in the dream. Instead, I found the arcade. And so, in that way, I guess our thinking, our function in Christ is deeply rooted in the world. I guess some people don't care for their kids. It's time for them to wake up. Okay. In the next part of the dream, I was leaving uh, that that compound, I guess, and I ended up in the car with some other brothers, including John's father-in-law was in the car, and it was Caldwell that was in the car, Mike Caldwell. There were four of us in the back, and I saw in the sky four airplanes were coming to spray aluminum oxides and those compounds that they spray in the atmosphere. And I got angry with them, and they were spraying really low, so that stuff was going all over us. And so um, I got out of the window and I started yelling at the cars. They're spraying again. They're spraying again. Right? And somebody in the car told me to shut up because they didn't want the cops to pull us over for doing things like that. So I continued, and we went through the freeway system in San Antonio, and we stopped. There was an inside tunnel, an underpass, but it was covered. It was a covered underpass, and there was a couple that was walking, uh, crosswalking over, and I noticed that the lady was really beautiful, and I tried not to look because I knew that it was a sin, but Mr. Caldwell was looking for her, and he was startled, and he was looking for her. So, anyhow, before we had a conversation in the car in regards to the expense and the price tag of a brand new jet engine. We were interested in knowing how much Boeing gets paid for their aircraft engines. Or I guess you could say Rolls-Royce is another big manufacturer there. But I think I said somewhere around $2 million a piece. Of course, I don't know my pricing, but yeah, that was really interesting. I guess it was a big size engine for a 747 or something. Anyways, I guess that's where this dream kind of stopped. Okay, guys, I know this dream is maybe a little bit too complex for some, but I don't think it's that complex. God is showing that there's worldliness inside the church. God is showing that many families are not taking care of their young ones by bringing them to things that edify in Christ. Arcade games, video games, any kind of thing that plays an entertainment that isn't fulfilling the intentions of God's heart to edify the kids, especially in these last days. And yes, the Lord has threatened the whole earth to take away resource and to do damage by pestilence and earthquakes and all of this. And the word is coming to pass. This isn't a popularity contest for me anymore. You will hear more from David. You will hear more from people like David as they choose instead to edify people with the knowledge of God in the truth. I will not be a popular person. I have chosen to not be a popular person. I have chosen the Lord Most High and Most Holy to take control of my life. And I suggest that you do the same. It's time for us to be different. It's time for us to touch no unclean thing and depart from Babylon, lest we receive her plagues. The plagues against Babylon are coming. They're promised by God. They're prophesied in the Word. And it is time for us to depart from every unclean thing. God bless you. Thank you for listening, and please share with your friends. God bless you.